Hello and welcome back to Toy Story 3. This is Enchanted, and today we'll be going to level 4 and officially be halfway through this game. At least the main plot of the game anyway.
We tried our hardest to get Andy to play with us, but it just didn't work. Probably because I wasn't consulted about the plan.
Our only options were to go into storage in the attic.
Or get thrown in the trash.
Well, we decided to go to Sunnyside Daycare, where we met a slew of new toys, including a cuddly bear named Lotso.
He smelled like strawberries.
This level's an odd one. Interesting, but
Welcome
odd.
to Sunnyside, folks. I'm Lotso. Now, in honor of your arrival, we're throwing a new Toys Welcome Carnival. My friends here have some games for y'all to play. Twitch has got a competition your horse would be perfect for. Sparks has a teeny racer challenge, and Chunk is hosting the alley toss. Remember to try all the games, but most importantly, smile and have fun. Oh, I almost forgot. I've made a scavenger hunt and hidden goodies all over for you to find, so make sure you look everywhere. Now get on out there and have fun.
All right.
This level's not particularly big, but it's very vertical. We're going to start with Buzz Lightyear for setup for something you'll see a little bit later, but for now we're going to do a little bit of exploring and see what we can find here before we actually do the mini-games, because there's quite a lot of stuff to find just scattered around the level. I quite like the design of the level, and there's like the baby on the bookshelf, that's a pretty good little visual. This is actually a unique kind of collectible for this level. There are 4 of those. They're pieces of Emperor Zurg. And all 4 of them are found in varying areas within this level.
Chance we'll get ignored here.
So alongside the usual cards and other collectibles, we'll also be looking for the 4 Zurg pieces, which generally are all around the ground level for the most part. For example, like he's hidden in these little kind of cubby holes here. For example, we've got his gun and his cape. Focusing on those first because they're kind of finicky and a little bit tricky to find. And then we can also get at least near the top of Ken's clubhouse. Dream house, rather. Not really a lot up here though, that's more of a shortcut to get up here if you don't want to do the jumping between the bookshelves thing. Of course some of these cards are overhidden, and fluorescent lights. Let's see where these lead, shall we? Of course, as you can see, each set of them has a swingy thing for Woody, or a jumpy thing for Jessie. They kind of alternate between them, but there's really very few reasons to actually use those, except for, like, there's only 2 of them you really need to use for anything. So for now, let's get Buzz over here to the top of where Lotso's hanging out, and let's see how we can get to that far light really quickly, by grinding across the entire classroom, which is at least somewhat fun. Now we'll be leaving Buzz here, because that card there, as you may have guessed, needs to have someone toss at it. I guess Woody will do for that. So here's an alternate way of getting up there. I do like the sense of scale that this classroom gives as well. It's a very, very big room for Woody. For everyone else it will be incredibly small. And probably a little bit cramped. These can be a little finicky in 3D space because you can't really control the horizontal movements that Woody makes. But let's get him in there so we can get that card, shall we? This is probably the piece that needs the most setup in this level, because it takes a while to get each character up here. There we go.
You won't catch me riding bullseye.
I don't know where he heard that pigs and horses don't get along. That's a very strange combination of things to be enemies in general, or even to interact with each other in general. I wouldn't have thought they'd had history together, but I guess they do. I mean, the real reason is because imagine trying to animate that, but yeah.
What time did the kids show up?
Cheeky bookshelf, cubby thing.
What time did the kids show up?
That was annoying. Sometimes the button pumps can be a little finicky when they'll actually show up. But they're also lenient enough that it's not that big a deal. I look like firemen had dressed up things, and that's really cute. We've only got a few more things to deal with here. Just a couple of things that are missing. So let's take care of that, shall we? There's really nothing up here, which is a shame, because it seems like there would be, but there's just a coin over there, so... But it's just me remembering that. But that's how we'd get there. Probably jump from that as well, but it'd be a little bit trickier. Because of how far it is. And here I finally find another Zerg piece.
Come on, you can do better than that. Give it another shot.
And his head's right there. I just completely overlooked it, because I didn't look backwards when I went out that tunnel. But there we have completely assembled Emperor Zerg. So now that we've done that, that's most of the collectibles done. So let's finally do the minigames, starting with my least favourite. By too many he means 3, but you have to be perfect, so I've cut ahead to my winning run of this. Because, as you can see, my best run was 99, but 1 slipped through, and that is so irritating. Luckily, though, this isn't as bad as a lot of these kind of shooters can get, because these balls have physics, and they stick around for a while, so as long as they're bouncing around, they can potentially hit someone by accident. Which can be very nice to do, although it can be hard to judge as well. Like, you can also bank them off the far ones as well, to hit one directly behind the foot. A more front-facing basket. But this minigame really goes on for a bit too long, and it's a little bit annoying because of just how many aliens there are to deal with, because of course there are 100. And of course at this point we start seeing new ones that start jumping at you. These are really hard to deal with. These guys are the most likely ones to slip through at all, because they're predictable, but because of their strange motions it can be hard for the balls to hit them. And that can happen. If that happens when you're focusing on a different quadrant, that can really be terrible.
Right there.
Often the easiest way is actually to Daredevil, then I hit them just as they're about to cross the line while they're still in midair, like that. That one was actually a fairly close one as well. But yeah, this is my least favourite thing in the entire game. When I played through this myself before the LP, for the first time, this was the very last thing I did in the entire game. Was 100%ing this minigame. Yes, to do everything else in the game, you do need to do this. But now we have a new enemy type as well. These little running guys that just straight up beeline straight for the thing. I mean, they're cute, because they're the aliens, of course they're cute, but they're really annoying to deal with in this minigame. Of them, it's the least lenient of all the 3 minigames in this one. The other ones give you way too much time to mess around and stuff and looking for things you need to do in those. But we'll see those later. But for now, this minigame can be a real nightmare. Well, there's something on a much, not quite lighter note, but it's a different thing entirely. Recently, I actually played through a game that's quite interesting called Get Even. I really like that game, it's really good, so I highly recommend it, if you find it. But for doing 100% on the minigames, we actually get a collectible. We have to get all 3 of them 100%ed to get these cards. That was the last card I got in the entire game. And of course, because these cards unlock stuff in Woody's Roundup, I actually couldn't 100% the game until I got that card. It was locking me out of, like, a thing to unlock there. But it's done now, and that's the worst of it. This minigame is...
Master the Teeny Racer Challenge? Here's a download. Follow the driving course from the Teeny Racer and smash through the blocks. It's that simple. Oh, and keep an eye on the timer.
This one's fairly, a lot easier. but the Teeny Racer is a real nightmare to control.
This sounds pretty dangerous.
Because it's way too fast and it corners really weirdly. I've got used to the way it corners and actually got pretty good at driving it. But wow, this is like, it's really finicky to control. It's very specific, you're bouncing all over the place all the time like that. Luckily it can self-ride. I do like the visual of Woody riding it, it's a funny visual. And the music's pretty good as well, honestly. So I quite like it for that, because it's got this pretty rad music playing throughout it. But the racer itself, as you can see, it corners really strangely, like very sharply. And if you crash, it takes a while to right yourself like that, because it's like racing any kind of remote control car. It controls realistically, which is terrible, because all these things always control terribly in real life. But as you can see, we've only got 2 more blocks to find, and we've only got a full minute to do it in. This is a really easy mini game, so it gives you plenty of time to mess up things like that jump there. There we are. Like those children's playmats that you're linked together, that's really cute. And the little smiley face drawn on that as well. The little images drawn on the whiteboards are really cute, and I quite like that. But that's that one completed. Now we only have one more thing to do in this level that I remember to do in this run. Which is the bullseye race.
Step on up. Ride the horse and see if you got what it takes to be the fastest. Step on up, see if you can pop all the balloons and win a special prize.
This can be a little bit daunting because that's 25 balloons out of 40. That's quite a lot of balloons, but luckily they're in these kind of groups of 5 like that you can. So as long as you find where the groups are and how to get to them, because there's a lot of platforming to get up on there. I mean, this is basically an expert tutorial in riding bullseye. You very rarely need to be this accurate with it. This many platforming things don't tend to come up all at once. Hilariously, this is one of the harder bullseye things to do because of it, even though it's right at the beginning of the game if you play through the levels first. But I like these courses in general. It's a cute kind of obstacle course, and it's fun to try and figure out where the game wants you to jump to get to each set of balloons. So it's fairly satisfying to run these courses.
Not taking it easy on me, are ya?
Well, 5 more to find. And then we're done with the bullseye course. With, again, over a minute to go, and they're right there. I mean, the main thing with it is you have to remember when you can jump.
I'm impressed.
Way to go, Bullseye!
Because if you're a little bit loose on it, you can end up falling quite easily, because it's a little slippery with the jumps on bullseye. But we've actually got all of the cars in the level now. And we've done all the minigames too, hence the True Carney minigame. Carnival Conquest is just for beating the carnival. True Carney is 100%ing it.
Woody still felt like he should be with Andy at college. So, he made it out of Sunnyside, but was found by Bonnie, who took him home for a tea party.
It was coffee, not tea, but you guys know how all that went since you were there.
We'll see Bonnie's later on, it's one of my favourite levels, but for now we actually missed 2 things here. The special card, which is right here. If we use Jesse to get across these lights, we can get to these butterflies over here. As you can see, the card's right there, so let's go grab that, shall we? This can be finicky to grab because of its position in the level compared to the camera. Because as you can see, it's very kind of, it auto-corrects to get onto those. But that card can be really hard to judge, and if you miss it, as you see, you just fall straight through. This can also be really hard to judge, swinging across these to get this hidden townsperson, because it can be very easy to miss that last little bit and end up falling short. But now we have absolutely everything in that level, so we have seen the last of level 4. A level overall is interesting, but not one of my favourites. But that's done now. So next time we'll do Bonnie's house. I'll see you then. Goodbye.